uncomfy, I don't know. How to avoid scams. How old is too old? Is there an ideal way to audition? What companies tolerate other nationalities the best? Yes, this is actually a question I got. It's not my wording, I promise. Guys, we're answering uncomfy questions that you guys have about K-pop auditions. Now, I asked you guys on my community post to ask a bunch of questions that you'd be kind of afraid to ask, maybe ones that I'm afraid to answer. I don't know. I have a lot of juicy questions here today that I'm sure you guys have been waiting for, so I included them here in this video. Hopefully this is what you guys want to see for the K-pop information side of things. Obviously, I love sharing information as much as, you know, new audition tutorials that are out. So let's begin with the first question. We're gonna just get straight into it, except I actually forgot to remind you guys, it's almost the beginning of March. I'm sure you guys know where this is going, but my K-pop audition course is always open for new applicants. Well, not applicants really, anyone that's training to audition right now and wanting to audition. I provide one-on-one personalized help on there, so go check out my website, loveyirene.com, if you are interested. All right, now let's get started with the first question. So the first question is, should we go all out for our audition videos as if we're idols? And this is definitely yes, like you should go all out in terms of stage presence, in terms of the potential that you have in showcasing your talent, because what are you holding back for? Like, it wouldn't make any sense. Obviously, it might be a little bit cringe doing it in your bedroom, but that's pretty much where everyone started. You have to start small if you guys want to get up there. So really act as if you guys are already debuted idols, because that should be the energy that the judges will be feeling. Otherwise, it will just make you like any other applicant. So that is one way to stand out to the judges. Now, we're starting off pretty tame here, so let's see what we've got next. The next question is, how proficient does a person have to be in Korean to give them a real advantage? Now, I would actually say, and I've been saying this for all my videos, speaking Korean, being fluent in Korean is a nice to have. It's definitely like a bonus point, but it's not a must have at all. You could speak no word in English, or maybe like literally just hello and thank you, and that would totally be fine. What the judges are looking for in the audition is your potential as a K-pop artist, and a language is something that can be pretty easily learned, especially if you're very much so immersed in the culture and training in Korea. It's going to be pretty easy to pick up Korean, especially if you're young. I mean, it just happens pretty naturally if everyone you're surrounded by is speaking in Korean. So it really does not matter too much. Obviously, it's not bad to learn at all, and it'll make things a little bit easier when you are a trainee, but not what they're looking for in terms of auditions. All right, next question is, which of the typical audition options among singing, dancing, rapping is the most in demand? And now I really wish I could have a straight up answer for you guys and be like, guys, go with dancing because it's like the most rare, but definitely not the case at all. I think what you have to evaluate are two things. Firstly, is what does the company prefer? Like if it's SM, obviously vocals are going to be more so prioritized, but that is something that you do have to consider for every company that you're applying to. For certain companies, it's not clear cut, so it wouldn't really matter. For other companies, it might be like, oh, rapping just isn't in demand. They don't really care for rappers, but then for other companies, it's like rapping is such a big thing to have, and they're looking for main rappers. So evaluate that, and then the second thing that you're going to see, which I think is the most important one, is obviously what you are most confident with and the most capable of. At the end of the day, that is what it's all about, showcasing your best skills. So if you suck at vocals, but then you heard, oh wait, vocals are more so in demand, like that's not really going to work out, right? So go with the one that you are most comfortable with and the one that you think will make you stand out the most. All right, next question is, how much makeup should you wear? Now, this person asked the full thing, so full glam with full lashes, like an hour's worth of work, or clear mascara, BB cream, and lip tint. Very specific questions with much so details. Love that. But just enough that you can't tell that you're wearing makeup, so I would just like curl your lashes, maybe apply a little bit of lip tint just to give it some color, but I wouldn't really go in with BB cream and then like more than that, just because like an hour's worth of work is definitely not what you want. Because if you go to in-person auditions, we hear stories, I think I mentioned this before, maybe it was in my color analysis video, where aespa's Karina was asked to wash off her face during the audition, even though she said, oh, I'm not wearing any makeup, simply because the judges want to see her face, bare face. That's just the way it is. And a lot of people do ask, like, but why is that the case? Like, K-pop idols wear makeup all the time. But it's not so much about like your beauty, but more so to see like what they're working with naturally, and then from there they can, try and see if you go in with a certain group's image, for example. Okay, the next question is, we're getting a little bit more, I guess, I don't know, uncomfy, I don't know. Can you audition with asthma or any disability? Well, asthma and any other disability is a broad category for sure, but I think it just depends on like how much that impacts your day-to-day and also how much it impacts your training. If it does significantly, like let's say with asthma, significantly impact how much you can dance and how much energy you can put into dancing, maybe. Just because it's going to be more tough for you personally. When others are just struggling with just training, you obviously are held back because of your asthma, for example. I don't know how severe that may be, so I think that's a judgment call for you to make. But also keep in mind that being a K-pop idol is quite physically strenuating, and it's not an easy task physically. So obviously consider that and put your health first. Sometimes it's just not worth it, just because if your body's holding you back, but you want to do that mentally, like, it's tough. So I think that decision is hard for me to make, but rather a decision for you. The next question is, how much do they look for appearance instead of talent? And this, again, I think would actually depend on the company. Some companies really prioritize visuals. And I think one that I can just like bring in an example, like No Tea No Shade, of course, is Triple S. Like, you can really see that their company prioritizes visuals, maybe even not over talent, but they prioritize visuals. So again, it's a judgment call that differs between company to company. But overall, companies are looking for your potential. Visuals are something that honestly is correctable. Like, you could probably correct little bits and pieces here and there through plastic surgery or even just like Botox or small things like that, but they can't change how good you sing. They can't change your voice in itself, your dancing skills, abilities, things like that, your stage presence. So to think of it that way, a lot of people might say the vice versa, like, oh, but they can teach you that stuff. But that is my personal take on it. And honestly, also, appearance is something that you can't really change right now. So I would just focus on your potential. So practice your singing and dancing in whatever category that you're applying to. Okay? The next question is it a big problem if you have bad acne or a lot of pimples? I think a really important thing to think about here is that a lot of idols did not look picture perfect when they were auditioning. They had like bad skin, like they had whatever, like bad hair, bad haircuts. I'm sure we've seen those. Like, they were not perfect, but the judges saw potential in them, probably most likely in their voice or in their dancing, and then from there they decided to give them a go. So you don't have to look perfect, and that is not the expectation that judges have. Just remember that. And also, acne is something that's so treatable, especially in Korea. They've got so much, like, I feel like Korea has more advancements when it comes to like acne and skin. Obviously they're known for skin treatments and stuff like that, so it is not a worry at all. The next question is, what companies tolerate other nationalities the best? Yes, this is actually a question I got. It's not my wording, I promise. I think you can kind of see from the artists that they debut, like Black Swan, like DR Music. Obviously they have global, not Chinese, global idols, and then other groups as well. But also, I feel like there is a shift happening in even mainstream K-pop companies, mainstream as in like big three. I mean, we just saw our first Indonesian K-pop idol that debuted in the big three. Hearts to Hearts, Carmen. Literally love her voice. Can we talk about that debut? At first I was like a little underwhelmed, but I really like the song actually. Let me know what you guys think of it, even though it's completely unrelated to this video. But yeah, there is a shift happening. Even in the big three, we see more like Southeast Asian artists debuting, and I think that is kind of indicative of how there's going to be more global artists within K-pop groups, not just Koreans. So the next question is how to avoid scams. And actually this is very much so on topic, because recently there's been a scam going on for Jellyfish Entertainment. Someone is trying to impersonate Jellyfish, and this isn't like the first time it's happened, right? Like scams or like impersonating audition accounts happen all the time, but I see this one a lot more often. I'll probably make a shorts video about it targeting the specific message that people are getting. But anyway, this account called Jelly Casting is going around DMing people that follow audition accounts and being like, oh, we want you to sign with us, or we want you to do like a modeling shoot gig, things like that. And I think the most sus thing is, number one, if they ask for money. Number two, if they're on like a weird account. If you see other official accounts following that account, then it is official, right? But otherwise it is not. And that was the case for here. If they're asking for any kind of money, that is a scam immediately, just full stop. And always be careful about what you're sending to these companies and who you're sending it to. So just be very, very wary, and I would say those are the main things to watch out for. Okay, so the next question is it true that nowadays companies choose those who are already famous? And I would say not really. Not really. I mean, I would say even if you're famous, you still get the same treatment as someone who isn't famous. Like, you still have to go through the training steps. You're not going to just get an easy getaway simply because you have that prior fame. It might help you because, you know, you've worked on your talents before, for example. Like, I don't know, Shotaro from Rise had a huge TikTok account where he shared dance videos, but that's not just gonna be like, oh, okay, you can debut now. You know what I mean? Like, he's probably still had to work on his vocals, still had to work on his dance, even though it was amazing already, and other things like that, and keep up with the rest of the group. Next question, is there an ideal way to audition? No. No. And even if I said the number, would you guys be like, oh, I need to reach that target goal? No, it doesn't make sense. What the hecko? Sorry, I'm like so thirsty. Stay hydrated. Anyway, literally no, guys. Just audition with whatever you've got right now. Will the company make you diet later on down the road? Probably. They probably do that for every trainee out there. But that's just kind of the realistic situation it is in. Very unfortunate. But when you're auditioning, it doesn't matter. It's kind of like what I mentioned about bad skin and whatnot. All right, the last question I wanted to target is, how old is too old? And this one is a really tough question to respond to because, again, it kind of depends on the company. Some companies are, you could say, more tolerable? They tolerate like older ages and are willing to debut people at a later age, whereas other companies are debuting 2011 kids. Girls mainly, right? So a lot of people are demotivated and think, oh no, I don't have a chance to audition because I see all these young artists debuting these days, especially more, it feels like it. But honestly, young artists have always been debuting, and I think we see that more prominently now just because there are a lot more groups debuting. And also I think it's just highlighted more in news these days just because of how problematic debuting young children can be, especially on their mental health. So it's just like an issue that's highlighted more is kind of how I would address it. But anyway, what I would recommend if you are on the older side is to audition for companies that, again, are more tolerating of that, and find auditions that have no age restrictions, and find opportunities for yourself because they're definitely out there. There's a lot of companies with age restrictions, but you don't have to consider it. What's meant for you isn't meant for you. And as harsh as that can sound, hopefully it doesn't. And that is pretty much the end of this video. Hopefully I got to your questions that you guys asked on the community post. Let me know if you guys want to see something similar to this where I just go through your questions with like a specific theme. Let me know, and thank you so much for watching this video. Leave this emoji if you stayed till the end of this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.